Hi there, Bill McDonald. Great to have you with us once again. The Coca-Cola Tenpin Classic continues here at the MtGravatt lanes in Brisbane today. A very tense game on our hands, I think. Two traditional rivals, I guess. Queensland up against New South Wales. We've got the youngest competitor up against perhaps the oldest competitor. We've got Steve Lovell from New South Wales up against Michael Little, and joining us again in commentary is Glenn McFarlane, former Victorian and Tasmanian coach. Now, this is good. Bowling is for all ages, I guess, but how do you see the age difference here manufacturing itself in the outcome?
Bill, this is going to be great. I've really been looking forward to this matchup between Steve and Michael. They're both so different in the way that they bowl. One's left, one is right. As you mentioned, there's the age and the experience. It's going to be a classic matchup, this one today.
All right, let's have a close look at both these players as they warm up for this clash. 1997 saw Steve Lovell bounce back into the representative scene after some time off through injury. He immediately picked up the third perfect game of his career, a win in the 1997 Sydney Open and fourth place in the Australian Masters.
There are a lot of young kids out there at the moment. Yeah, these guys sort of come up to me when I was winning in 1980 and they were in nappies. But I just like competing against them, and it just, spurs me on a fair bit. I just like winning. It's just what it's all about.
Steve has already shown some winning form in this tournament in a classic encounter with Brian Syme from Western Australia. Take a look at this. Now that's pretty good too, another strike. So 7 strikes now for Steve Lovell. He surges ahead. Michael Little is the youngest competitor in this year's Coca Classic. He ranked in the top 5 juniors in Australia and has already played for the Queensland adult team with distinction. His performance at the 1997 Nationals saw him win a position in the Australian All-Star team.
For the last couple of years, I guess, I've sort of been bowling against this sort of competition, so I sort of know some of the guys, but yeah, it's pretty good to be out there with them. I reckon I'll be pretty nervous to begin with, but after a few frames, I reckon I'll get settled in pretty well.
Certainly a match of contrast, this one, between Little and Lovell. The 2 Ls. Current league average for Michael Little is 203. And Steve Lovell, who will be leading off in this game, has a league average of 209.
Bill, we can expect big things out of this matchup between the two players here. We know that Steve's on his game. And Michael, I don't know, we'll have to see how he goes when it comes to the nerves.
Opening bowl from Steve. Let's see how it is. It's great. It's a strike. Super start for Steve. Well, that's given Michael something to aim for. Certainly laid down the ground rules right from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's off to a magnificent start there for Steve Lovell from New South Wales.
And Michael, 18 years of age, full-time student. Here's his opening bowl. Oh, that's just as good. What a reply from the young man. Well, it looks like living up to everything we expected. There's the split screen replay. Sue Castle joins us also in commentary today, and I guess she'll be looking forward to this as well.
It's going to be a great match. I think there's severe contrast in personalities. We've seen Steve on several occasions. He's more outgoing and gets the crowd going, where it looks like Michael might be a little bit composed.
Let's see how composed he is on this shot. Oh, that looks pretty good as well. After single pin standing. Looking to close out the frame. Does so perfectly. So a very solid start from Michael Little, who has a very good pedigree coming into the Coca-Cola Classic. Of course, third in the Junior Coca-Cola Classic in 96, 97. And a very talented young player.
And of course, too, Steve back onto the tournament scene, and he currently has a league average of 209.
Steve going for back-to-back strikes. There's the double. Are we going to see the shuffle? Not this time, I don't think. Well, there's plenty of time left for that.
Yeah, so see coming up on the replay, he gets the ball out well, comes up, that mixes very well. Make that a double.
And a good time to mention that, of course, a $5,000 bonus up for grabs for any bowler who can shoot the perfect 300 score. That's courtesy of AMF and Goldpin, and well, Steve's done everything right so far.
In fact, Bill, Steve already has 3 perfect games to his career, and it'd be great if we could see another one coming up here. Give away that money on behalf of AMF and Goldpin.
How's this one looking? Oh, it's no. Well, maybe we've jinxed him again, but he's got a single pin standing.
Sue, that didn't look like such a bad shot. He was fairly high up into the pocket, but he got a reasonable mix there.
It was a very good shot, actually. It would have been unfortunate if the 10 pin had stood as well as the 7 pin, but got a good break, and I'm sure he'll go back and try and keep the frame covered as best he can.
There's Steve, the 1997 Sydney Open winner, finishes off with a nice spare. So a 19-pin split now in favour of Steve in this 3rd frame. It's Michael Little. As we said, a Bachelor of Business, studying at the moment. Really good for the hoik down the lane and gets the result.
Yes, the crowd really getting behind Michael there.
And we'll take a break here in the Coca-Cola 10-pin Classic. I'll be back very shortly in what is a very exciting game. Coca-Cola 10-pin Classic. Michael Little up on the lane at the moment. He trails by 9. And that's all about to change because he's just nailed his 3rd strike.
Oh, Bill, this is excellent bowling that we're seeing in this match between Michael and Steve. Nothing but 9s and strikes, and that's what it's all about at this level.
We've heard so much about Sue coming into this Classic, and as you said, he's pretty quiet, but he seems very, very composed.
Yeah, very composed, and I mean, at only being 18 years of age, I'm sure he's going to make his mark on Australian bowling in the very near future. He's going to be a name that's going to be around for quite a while.
In fact, Michael's one of the few people that's been able to represent his state of Queensland at both the junior and the senior level.
There's that lovely shuffle. We've got it out again. So Steve's an experienced campaigner. He'd be loving this, having the challenge thrown out to him by one of the young guns in this field, the youngest gun in the field. There it is. It's the shuffle. So well, what a game we have on our hands. 9 pins the difference. We're in the 5th frame. Here's Steve. He's back after injury this 1997 year. Come on! Oh, he's called it through. And he's happy with it. He likes it. What a ripper.
So Steve is really fired up at the moment for this, and if he could close out the game with strikes, he could finish with an extremely high score.
Yeah, he's right on his game here. I think he knows more than anybody that he's got to stay on top of it, because Michael can just come back and throw some fantastic shots here, and he's got to stay with him every ball he can.
Michael Little, is this another strike? Not to be. Not to be, but as you can see, the expression doesn't change whether it's a strike or there's a few pins remaining.
And of course, just because his expression doesn't change doesn't mean to say that inside he could be quite nervous. That might be just his way of coping with the nerves of being first time on TV and being in what is predominantly really an adult 10-pin bowling tournament.
There he spares it. Does a very good job at doing that.
Also, Sue, for what Michael has achieved so far in the sport, he really must have an extremely strong mental game or a physical game, as opposed to the obvious physical one that we're seeing here today.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he throws such a great shot for someone of only 18 years of age. It's just awesome to think about what he's going to be like in the next sort of 5 or 10 years down the track.
Beauty. Strikes galore in this game as well. That's 4 now for Michael Little.
Okay, so after just seeing Michael here, you can't throw a much better shot than that. That was absolutely perfect execution of the shot. And we've got Steve now. Steve's currently on 2 strikes in a row, and we're looking for this one here to make it 3 strikes in a row or a turkey for Steve Lovell.
Fourth at the Australian Masters in 1997, Steve, and he didn't like that one coming out of the hand, but I don't know why. It's got the result, and he can't believe it. A turkey for Steve Lovell.
Yes, and that now gives Steve a 20-point lead over Michael at this stage at the completion of the 6th frame.
Over the next 13 weeks in the Coca-Cola Classic, you'll see Australia's best bowling head-to-head. While the competition will be intense, bowling is very much a personal game. It's you and the ball versus the pins. And to win, you've got to find your accuracy, your rhythm, and be consistent. If you haven't bowled before, here are the basics of the game. There are 10 frames to a match, and in each of those frames, you have 2 chances to knock over 10 pins. Obviously, you try to hit all 10 pins with your first ball. If you do, it's called a strike. If you miss some pins on your first ball, but knock them over the second time, that's called a spare. Both a strike and a spare give you bonus points. If you leave pins on either side of the lane, that's called a split, and that's what we try not to bowl. And if you're wondering about how to score, that's all handled by computer. That's right, when you come to bowl, all the scoring is done for you by computer. So all you have to do is knock some pins down and have fun. And that's what we'll be trying to do over the next 13 weeks.
Steve Lovell on screen at the moment. He's just skipped out to a 20-pin lead after his 3rd consecutive strike. Running hot at the moment as we resume in the Coca-Cola 10-pin Classic. Let's see, can he make it 4? Will he make it 4? Oh, so close, and he's trying to get it to will it down, but no. The old Lovey shuffle didn't do anything good for him there. Let's have a look at that in replay.
Now, a great styler, Steve, you'll see here. Gets through the ball well.
Now, what are we seeing there, Sue? What's that mean?
He's calling the ball up. He doesn't think it's going to get there in time, but it does, and he's quite unlucky not to have carried that pin then.
Here he is for the spare. And there it goes, into the pit. Well, he's bowling very consistently, Glenn.
Yes, he sure is. A 44-year-old production manager from Mossman, Steve Lovell. He takes quite a reasonable lead at this stage, but don't discount Michael. He's working on a strike as well. He'll be looking to consolidate here with another.
Oh, beautiful, right on the money.
This is excellent bowling.
So, double now for Michael Little. So look at that one go through. So we've just seen Steve the hat-trick or the turkey. Let's see if Michael can emulate that. And I think he might. He has. What a great shot. Superb bowling from the young fellow.
It is, Sue. This is just fantastic bowling from somebody so young at only 18 years of age. As you said earlier, Michael really has a great future in front of him.
That may well be a contender for a cool foam magic moment. We've had a couple of contenders this game so far. Just watching that replay.
Almost looked like we had a slight hint of a bit of emotion then. The eyes sort of went down as if to say, I'm really glad I managed to get that one in there.
Steve now in the 8th frame. Oh, strikes galore. Another one. And it's all happening here at the MtGravatt Lanes in Brisbane in the Coca-Cola 10-pin Classic. Both competitors in what's been a gripping contest. So we start the 9th frame. Sorry,
yes, that all-important 9th and 10th frame.
Steve looking for another strike.
Now, he's left himself a difficult conversion here with this split. He'll be, depending on the tightness of the score, he might choose to play safe and just take out 2 pins on the right-hand side of the lane, or perhaps try and slide one across to the corner pin to the 7.
It's a hard way to get 2.
Yes, but it's still well done. Well, I guess the eternal optimist would say 9 out of 10. That's pretty good.
There's a single pin standing.
Oh, I think it was a good shot under the circumstances. I think it's one of those many things we've seen over the weeks with the strong right-handed bowlers just basically pounding the 1-3 pocket and unfortunately leaving that 1 pin standing in the 10-pin corner.
Now, this is the first time that we've been able to see how Michael would attack a pin in the far right-hand side of the lane.
That's how you do it.
Yep, flattens the ball out and makes the spare. Now, we can't ask for a better match than this. At the bottom of the 9th frame, both Michael and Steve tied at 106 each.
It's over to Michael now. He'll start off the 10th frame. Is it going to be a strike? Not quite. Good opportunity here for him to close out with a spare.
Okay, this is an all-important spare here coming up into the 10th frame. He needs to spare it to keep the pressure on Steve and to enable Steve to get the first 2 strikes if he's to have any chance of winning this game.
Yeah, and he does it.
Okay, so if Michael manages to strike now, we're looking at a possible 223 game, as against Steve taking 3 strikes in the 10th frame with a possible 226 game.
So, a thrilling finish ahead of us, whichever way you look at it.
He'll be taking his time on this shot, make sure he gets it right.
On that shot. Oh, he's left a pin up. Good great performance from him.
From the young 18-year-old making his first appearance in the Coca-Cola 10-pin Classic, and Michael finishes with a score of 222.
So you'll have to sit back and watch now as Steve Lovell goes to work.
Yeah, see, this is it, Bill. Steve needs 2 strikes and a 7 to take the match away from Michael. So a big assignment for Steve here.
I'm pretty sure he'll just be thinking at about it 1 shot at a time. He'll be aiming to make this first hit a good hit and get 10 on the first round.
Let's have a look at it. Oh, yes! There's one of them. There's one. And you reckon he's not fired up?
You'll see on the replay coming up here the late fall on the pin there to the corner.
Late fall on the 6 pin.
Yes, just trips it out with the 10 pin from behind.
Doesn't look like it's going to go. I think the will or the stamping on the lane of Steve might have pushed it down.
Now
Okay.
this is it. This is a pressure shot.
He's got half the job done. He just knows what he's got to do. He's got to go out and he's got to make this shot and he's got to make it a good one to knock down 10.
He's looks like 8 down. 2 standing. So let's see where this leaves us.
It's if Steve converts, it's going to leave us with a 216 game, which unfortunately is going to be a 6-pin loss. So Michael's actually won the game on a 222.
And there it is. Fine from Steve. Spares it to close out. A score of 216, but the winner, and a very popular winner here at the MtGravatt Lanes on 222, Michael Little, youngest competitor in the field on his tournament debut. Hard to pick a cool phone magic moment in this game. There were plenty of them, but it goes actually to Steve Lovell, and it's in the 10th frame. First ball, he needed a strike to stay in the match. He gets that. Michael Little, though, went on to win the game, and Glenn caught up with him shortly after.
Congratulations, Michael, your first appearance in the Coca-Cola 10-pin Classic and a standout performance. You must be pretty pleased with the way that went.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with the way I bowled then. I thought Steve had me for a while there, but happy with the outcome.
He really put you under pressure, though, in the first ball of the 10th frame from Steve's point of view. He really needed to make a double and a 7 count. Did you think that you had him at that stage or not?
No, I was a bit worried, but I thought he might come back with the double, but luckily he didn't.
Well, I'm sure you'll all agree it doesn't get much better than that. Lived up to all expectation, that game, and not surprisingly, the 6-pin margin, the closest we've seen thus far in the Coke 10-pin Classic. But next week, it just gets better and better. Michael Little from Queensland up against a true living legend in 10-pin. I speak, of course, of Victoria's Jeanette Baker. What a game that's going to be.
Bill, this is a phenomenal matchup coming up. Jeanette, a dual cup winner back in 1982 and 83. And Michael, we know he's on his game. Two fiery players, and I'm really looking forward to this one coming up next week.